Today, I want to share something that has the power to completely reshape the way you learn English. Something so simple, yet unbelievably effective: reading. You might already be thinking, reading? Isn't that dull? But let me show you how it can actually be exciting and, more importantly, how it can become your hidden shortcut to real fluency. Think for a moment about what it would feel like to speak English naturally and confidently. Imagine holding conversations without hesitation, catching every word in a film without subtitles, and expressing yourself so effortlessly that it feels like second nature. One of the most reliable paths to reach that level is through reading. Reading isn't just the act of looking at words printed on a page. It's like stepping into another world where you're quietly gathering new vocabulary, absorbing grammar patterns, and picking up the natural rhythm of the language. It's almost like having a personal English coach in your pocket, ready to teach you wherever you go. Every time you open a book, a short story, an article, or even a comic, you're giving yourself a lesson without even noticing it. The words you see, the sentences you follow, and the ideas you understand are all building blocks for a stronger vocabulary and a more confident speaking style. Picture this. You're reading about a girl traveling to a new country. As you follow her adventures, you're not just enjoying the plot. You're also learning how to talk about places, describe emotions, and explain what's happening around you. And the best part is, you're picking all this up without forcing yourself to study. It's enjoyable, engaging, and feels as natural as watching a movie play in your imagination. Another wonderful thing about reading is how it helps you get used to the way English sentences are built without having to memorize endless grammar rules. When you read, you see grammar in motion. Sentences like, "He ran quickly," or "She decided to visit the park," show you exactly how the language works. With enough exposure, your brain begins to store these patterns so well that you use them without even realizing it. The more you read, the less you stop to think about what to say. The phrases and sentence structures you've absorbed flow out of your mouth automatically. It almost feels like magic, only it's the result of repeated, natural practice. Reading is also one of the fastest ways to expand your vocabulary. Every story, article, or book is like a treasure chest full of new expressions waiting to be discovered and added to your mental toolkit. For example, if you read a story set deep in the jungle, you might come across words like wild, explore, adventure, or mystery. These aren't just dry definitions in a textbook. They carry vivid meaning and help you describe experiences in a much more colorful way. Later, when you talk about something exciting, instead of saying, "It was fun," you might say, "It was an incredible adventure." Instantly, your words sound richer and more expressive. This is what makes you sound more like a native speaker. Reading also changes the way you think in English. Many learners struggle because they mentally translate from their native language before speaking. This slows down their speech and makes conversation harder. But when you read often, your brain starts processing English directly. Imagine you're reading a simple story about a boy who loves to play soccer. You get so involved in the plot that you're no longer thinking about each word. You're simply picturing the scenes in your mind. Without realizing it, you stop translating altogether, and English starts to feel like the most natural thing in the world. By reading regularly, you're training your brain to process and use English directly, without first translating from your native language. This is one of the most powerful steps you can take if you want to sound fluent and speak with real confidence. Reading doesn't just improve your speaking, it also sharpens your listening skills. You might be wondering, how can reading possibly make me a better listener? The answer is simple. When you read often, you get used to seeing English words, phrases, and sentence patterns. So, when someone speaks to you, your brain can instantly recognize and process the language they're using. Think about hearing a song for the first time. At first, it might seem unclear, but after you've listened to it a few times, you start to catch every lyric and every beat. Reading works in the same way for listening. The more you read, the more naturally you understand English when it's spoken, whether it's in a conversation with a friend, a film, or a podcast. Your ears begin to pick up on the rhythms and sounds of the language, just as your eyes become skilled at recognizing words on the page. And here's another thing. Confidence comes from knowledge. The more you read, the more you know. You discover new vocabulary, understand expressions, and feel more ready to join conversations. For example, let's say you read a story about a world-class chef in an elegant restaurant. The next time you talk about food, you could say, "I read about this amazing chef who creates incredible dishes." Suddenly, you're contributing something interesting and personal to the conversation, rather than just repeating phrases you memorized in class. You might now be asking, so how much should I read? The good news is, you don't need to spend hours buried in books. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day can bring noticeable results. Choose a time that fits into your routine, maybe in the morning with coffee, during a lunch break, or just before bed. What matters most is consistency. Even a small amount each day will build a strong reading habit, and over time, your English will improve almost without you realizing it. Think of reading as an adventure. Every page lets you visit new places, experience different cultures, and meet fascinating characters, all without leaving your chair. It's like traveling, only you don't need a suitcase or a ticket. And as you travel through stories, you naturally learn fresh ways to describe, explain, and express yourself. It's a lot like cooking your favorite meal. Each ingredient you add improves the flavor. With reading, every new word, every useful phrase, and every well-constructed sentence is an ingredient that makes your English richer and more vibrant. When you speak, you're no longer relying on simple, basic words. You're using expressions that bring your ideas to life. Stories and dialogues, in particular, teach you the kind of English people actually use in everyday life. A textbook might show you, "Hello, how are you?" But a novel or short story could teach you, "Hey, what's up?" or "How's it going?" By seeing these real phrases in context, you become more comfortable using them yourself. And when you speak, you won't sound like you're reciting from a classroom exercise. You'll sound natural, like someone who's been speaking English for years. So why start reading today? Now that you understand how much it can help, imagine the feeling of speaking English with confidence, using new words and expressions freely, and joining conversations without hesitation. That's the future you can create for yourself, starting with just a few pages a day. Reading is one of the easiest and most enjoyable ways to move toward your English goals. The secret is to choose something that genuinely catches your interest. A short story, a blog post, an article, or even a comic, and spend a little time with it every day. If you're just getting started, pick materials written in simple English. Beginner-friendly books, magazines, or websites are perfect because they use easier words without being dull. This way, you're learning while also enjoying the process. One of the best things about reading is that it lets you gather new vocabulary, almost like collecting tiny treasures along the way. Instead of forcing yourself to memorize endless word lists, focus on noticing how new words are used in context. If you read, "The sky was gloomy," you might guess that gloomy means dark or not cheerful. You could even keep a small notebook for interesting words and phrases you find. The goal isn't to instantly memorize everything, but to see these words often enough that they become familiar. Over time, they'll appear again in your reading, and you'll recall them naturally. For example, if you come across a sentence like, "The little dog dashed across the yard," you'll quickly learn that dashed means ran quickly. Later, when you need to describe someone running fast, that word will come to mind without hesitation. Reading is like adding tools to your language toolbox, tools you can reach for whenever you need them. As you read, notice how sentences are formed. You don't need to study grammar rules because you'll start feeling the structure instinctively. Just as children learn to speak by hearing correct language, you'll absorb natural grammar patterns from reading well-formed sentences. A great exercise is to take a simple sentence from what you're reading and create your own using the same structure. If you read, She went to the store because she needed milk. You might make, he went to the library because he needed a book. This practice builds confidence and reduces the need to translate in your head. One advantage of learning through reading is the variety. It never has to be boring. You can mix things up with different types of content. Stories and novels are perfect for immersing yourself in another world while expanding your vocabulary. Beginners can start with shorter, simpler books, even children's stories, which are easy to follow and still engaging. Short articles and blogs are great if you have limited time. You can choose topics like travel, food, hobbies, or fun facts, things that are easy to read and give you something to talk about. Comics and graphic novels are another excellent choice. The pictures help explain the story, and the dialogue shows how conversations really sound. Magazines are also a goldmine. Pick ones about subjects you love, like sports, technology, or fashion, and you'll find short, interesting articles full of useful phrases. One of the biggest challenges English learners face is confidence. We worry about saying the wrong thing or making grammar mistakes, and sometimes that fear stops us from speaking at all. Reading helps break through that barrier. By regularly seeing how sentences are built, how emotions are expressed, and how people interact in real situations, you start to internalize those patterns. Your brain picks up the rhythm of English, and before long, you find yourself speaking more smoothly, using expressions you've seen in books or articles. You're not just memorizing, you're starting to feel the language. For instance, you might read, "I'm over the moon about this new job," and without thinking, use the same phrase the next time you're excited. It's expressive, fun, and makes you sound authentic. A powerful way to improve your pronunciation and flow is to read aloud. Choose a short, simple passage and read it a few times until it feels comfortable. Then try saying it without looking. You'll notice your words coming out more easily, almost like you're telling a story to a friend. Reading aloud trains your mouth to form English sounds naturally, building both fluency and confidence. And remember, reading doesn't have to mean sitting down with a big novel. Bring English into your everyday life in small, unexpected ways. Read food labels, street signs, instructions, or recipes in English. If you're interested in health, find short online articles about it. These quick moments add up over time, making English reading feel effortless. Every time you read, you're shaping your own style in English. Different authors have unique ways of expressing ideas, and by exploring a variety of voices, you start to develop your own. You might love one writer's humor or another's descriptive style, and before you know it, you'll be using similar touches in your own speech and writing. Reading also sparks creativity. The ideas you encounter can inspire new ways of thinking, expand your curiosity, and lead you to explore subjects you'd never considered before, like science, art, or travel. You might read about the Northern Lights and not only learn new vocabulary, but also gain a fascinating story to share in conversation. These small pieces of knowledge make your talks richer and more engaging. The real truth is that reading isn't just a study method, it's a gateway. It opens the door to new words, cultures, perspectives, and a deeper connection to the language. Every page you turn brings you closer to fluency, confidence, and the version of yourself you want to be as an English speaker. Reading blends vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and fluency into one enjoyable activity. So pick up that book, scroll through that article, or dive into that story, and let reading take you further than you ever imagined. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.